Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce our team for Plenary 12, Communications for Planetary Health, Unblocking Channels and Charting Solutions. Please allow me to introduce, first of all, Mr. Danial Rahman, Chief Executive Officer of Asian Strategy and Leadership Institute here at Sunway University.
Daniel, let's
Oliver.
come to you. Okay, and I kind of outlined the question that we were going to ask you, but I've got it written down here, so I'm going to go again. I mean, your interest is really on kind of individual uptake, individual responsibility. And I think this makes absolute sense because actually everything we're talking about relates back to us as individuals and how we act and how we behave and what we do and how we accept our responsibilities. Give us some thoughts.
Right, thanks Oliver. Hello everyone, Assalamualaikum, good afternoon. I'm the guy who Paul so kindly singled out earlier. They may have to leave early, but don't worry about it. Thanks Paul for singling me out earlier. Anyway, so the question I had here was, how do we move people? And let's just start with a bit of, I'd like to ask you a question. How many of you are a single child? Can I see a show of hands? Have got 2 siblings? 3 siblings? 4? 5? 6? Few of you? 7? 8? Oh, what? 9? 10? 11? 12? 13? Tan Sri? 12? 13? Dr. Jamila, 13? 14? 15? 16? 17? Anything more than that? No. All right, so I knew somebody who had 17 siblings, an auntie. And what do you do if you have 17 siblings and everybody is kind of getting married around the same time and having kids at the same time? Well, naturally, this family started an NGO on environmentalism for children called Yawa. So this was something that happened back in 1995. It's called the Children's Environmental Heritage Foundation, and it was an NGO that I was part of. Just to share a bit of a story. And this was back in 1995, I was involved for a conference where the young people were asked to do a presentation about sustainable development. So I was, I think, 15 years old. First time I'm hearing the word sustainable development back in 2002. And we were asked to like dress up as palm trees and to present, palm oil trees, really cute, I assure you. To present to a group of a plantation society about the importance of sustainable development in the palm oil industry. 1992, that's what, 22 years now. And we were, imagine young kids every week going and practicing, scripting, recording, doing everything we can. And on the night of the presentation, it was a dinner event, the adults didn't really seem to care. We had just maybe a splattering of applause, and nevertheless we did our best. But I remember one thing. The lady who started this foundation is called Umi. We fondly call her Umi, and Umi in Malay means mother, so everybody calls her mother, Umi. And she says, don't worry, because you have made a change in some of the lives of the adults that see you, right? And 22 years on, the bunch of us young children who have now become adults, some are big shots in the industry, have all carried this environmental consciousness, planetary consciousness with them. And that's the first thing I want to share here about how do you move people. Remember that the effort to save the environment is constant, and it is something that you must continue doing and doing and doing. 22 years on, we are still fighting the same fight, and I believe that has made some change. Right. The second thing is, when I was posed with this question, I came up with an acronym. So the question was, how do we move people? I said, let's think of it. M, motivate. That sounds really good. I mean, Malaysians, we love acronyms, right? We look at PHAM. Everyone goes, what's PHAM? It's Planetary Alliance Meeting. So it's a meeting. No, it's a summit. But can everybody come? Yes, but why is it called a meeting? Sorry, this is just a bit of a side thing, right? But the point is, we're all here. So let me just very quickly run through this. Oops, when the phone gets locked. Okay, so M, motivate. Motivate, I think we have to understand that people need continuous motivation. Once upon a time, there was this campaign called Meatless Mondays, where it led to about 10% of reduction of meat within the particular community. Then in Indonesia, okay, today's a Friday, so in Islam, and there are some speakers who've talked about the concept of custodianship and environmentalism. In Islam, there's a verse in the Quran which says, the true servants of the most compassionate God are those who walk on the earth humbly. So they are humble to what we have on the earth, their gratitude for it, and they see what we have as a matter of trust. And in Indonesia back in 2013, a research piece was done where when Islamic concepts were aligned with environmentalism within sermons, it actually led to a higher consciousness of the environmentalism amongst the community. So I know my fellow speakers here spoke about contextualizing the message, and that's one way to motivate people to be conscious of environmentalism, planetary health from different perspectives. That's M. The second one is O. I'll be quick. O is organize. And what we've seen here, and all of you here are organizers or community organizers in your own way. My environmental foundation was one such of it. The other one that we all do is, for example, Earth Hour, right? Everyone's heard of Earth Hour, everyone gets excited by it. And I remember reading a statistic where every time we observe Earth Hour, something like 4.7 million kilowatt hours of electricity is saved. Now, you don't really shift the needle in that 1 hour, but you create consciousness. And I believe you were speaking about, Erin was mentioning about branding, right? The importance of a brand to excite young people, to excite children. So that's O. Now V. I'll be very honest with you, I couldn't come up with a V. Like motivate, organize, what do I put for V? Silent, okay, let's assume it's a silent V, right? Let's move on to E now. And E is to empower. And there's a story from India about the rainforest man of India, Jadav Payeng, if I'm not mistaken. And he had observed that snakes were dying in the heat in a particular state because there was no coverage, foliage. And he then started planting a tree, which actually led to the creation of a rainforest. So if you Google up Rainforest Man of India, you'll find this example. And of course, you know, as Erin, Sarah, even Shrita has talked about, science is important, data is important, and being able to message out effectively is very important. And that's where the empowerment comes from. All of us here are here to empower ourselves, but to empower the people around us. Last but not least, I want to say this though. The dose of reality is, it is a continuous journey. I've mentioned this earlier, but let's make planetary health communication part of our 10,000 steps a day. You know, if everybody aims for 10,000 steps for healthiness, let's keep moving, or if there's no V, let's keep mooing. I don't know, does it make sense? You know, and hopefully with this kind of communication, thinking and appreciation, we can move the needle. Thank you.
I'll come up with a V at some point, but I'm not quite sure when or how. Thank you. Thank you all very much indeed. I think that really sets the stage very nicely. We'd agreed we wouldn't talk too much because we really wanted to engage with the people in the room. We know we have a number of people working as communications professionals. Do you want to tackle the V thing? Do you want to tackle the V?
Sure. No, so thank you so much. So as I was speaking, a number of you had either messaged me or have put it up here. There's so many V's now. Can't believe I didn't think of one. This will be great for my Wordle tomorrow. Or Quordle. You know, you do 4 at one go. Some of the V's I've been given are visualize. I think that's really nice. You need to visualize. Voice. Dr. Jamila has talked about the voice, especially the voice of the unseen. And, you know, we face the fact that many of us here are very privileged to be here. Oops. Vitalize. Values. Validate, right? That's validation. There's one that said vibrate from medical students. I don't know, maybe I suppose resonate. And one more which is vision, right? Thank you, Jannah. Beautiful name, by the way. And of course, Dave Webb, who's watching online, dropped me a message and also said vision. So, you know, setting that vision is also very important. So we've got so many. All right, everybody, let's just recap this. M was for motivate. O, organize. V,
vision.
Visions. And everything else that was mentioned. And E is empower. And everything in between. Now, just very quickly, to answer also the question about buzzwords, I want to take a different angle. How many of you here have more than 10,000 followers across all your social media channels? 50,000? 60,000? 80,000? Over 100,000 followers on social media. I see somebody raising their hand. No? Okay. And how many of you have heard of these people? Queen Work, Eco Talk, New Lifestyle, Elisa Barber, Sabrina Sustainable Life, no? Matthew Shribman, no? Eco Talk TikTok, Eco Talk, no? Some of you, yeah? I see you're raising your hand constantly. Maybe you can share something in a bit. But the point here is this, like, all of us here may have not heard of these TikTokers, but these are all people who I just Googled up, who are top environmental TikTokers, right? And cumulatively, they may have about 1 million followers. And that's sometimes the interesting thing, that this joint between the practitioner, the business side, and the advocates like us, and people who are doing, you know, TikToking, but have got like 1 million eyeballs. So I just think it's a very interesting juxtaposition as we consider our communication efforts.
Great. Thank you very much indeed. I think you need to go, right? Yeah. Yeah, okay. Thank you. Let's go back to the